Maybe I could kick it off. Thank you very much for coming, media. I think for most of you, I know I had made a promise that I would actually have a press conference with you, and this is my coming good on that undertaking. As a commission, we actually met very briefly, because we had never met before, at about early this afternoon, and then it was important, I felt, for us to then meet with the minister in charge of the elections, to have a briefing from him as to what the electoral office has done so far, and that was a good briefing. And we know that they've done a lot of work, and there's obviously still a lot of work to do. And so this is as far as we've come today, and I'm grateful for the opportunity given by the Attorney General in briefing us and enlightening us on what has been done and achieved. And I think the next step is to actually look at and vet the supervisor for election. And I think that's probably one of the most important things on the draw card, and we'll take it one step at a time. And I think I said to you as well that we hope that as a commission we will give you timely press conferences as and when we think there's a need to. So hopefully you don't have to hound us for a response. We will give you a response as and when we feel that it's time to do so. Maybe I'll just hand it to the Attorney General and he can make his comments on the government's program.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to once again publicly thank the commissioners who have accepted this position. The Chair and his team. One of the commissioners not here is Dr. Vijay, who's away overseas. Thank them for the task. It's obviously quite an onerous task. We are going to have elections in the new system. The election will be based on credibility, transparency, and of course a lot of integrity, which perhaps was lacking previously. This afternoon we did brief the Chair and his team regarding the various aspects of the work that has already been carried out in the elections office, right from, as you would know, the various advertisements that have gone out, the current staffing arrangements in the elections office, the overseas registration that has already taken place and what is in store in the next coming months, to what we believe steps should be taken to ensure the credibility and integrity of the process for having elections. We also discussed the fact that the current regulations are being drafted and how we will give a copy once it's more close to the final version to the Electoral Commission for their comments, their input into the regulations that will ensure a credible process for the holding of elections. We also discussed some of the initiatives that can be undertaken in terms of providing more information to the public. We discussed the various consultants that have already provided the assistance and the donor countries that have already provided assistance, and how there needs to be coordination. From government's perspective, of course, it is critically important, as we highlighted to the commissioners, that the elections office truly, for the first time, becomes independent, truly independent. It is critical for the building of strong institutions in Fiji that institutions such as elections office become truly independent, become standalone organizations. They are not just career paths for people within those organizations, but they stand out as institutions where people can have a lot of faith and trust in. So that was some of the issues that we did discuss. We also highlighted and gave them copies of the various reports that had been put together, for example, by the Commonwealth and the EU and New Zealand joint report. They've got also copies of various other documents, the structure for the elections office. And now, of course, the Commission will take over most of the processes in respect of, until such time as the supervisor of elections are appointed, the Permanent Secretary for Justice as provided for under the Constitution will effectively and has been effectively filling the position or has been in the shoes of the supervisor of elections, and he will report to the Commission. Once the regulations are done and once the supervisor of elections is appointed, of course, then all the strings are cut off. And the electoral office, the Electoral Commission, runs on its own. We also discussed lastly some of the assistance that some of the countries have offered, Papua New Guinean assistance, which we hope will materialize in the month of March. We discussed the budget and how some of the other countries have offered various assistance, and which we hope to have coordinated and then have it materialize by way of either financial contribution or which is preferable in the supply of materials and various other equipment that is essential for the conduct of the elections. We also discussed last week how it is critical and a vision to have the elections conducted in one day and the logistics around it. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Young, just the time frame for the appointment of the supervisor of elections, you've got a time period set?
We have something in our mind, and that's something, I think it's a bit premature at the moment to say we'll do it in the next 2 weeks. Obviously, we will try and do that as early as we can. We have a very active role in its appointment. We're not here to rubber stamp something. We're here to vet it, and we would expect and the government to probably consult us. We don't have any doubts that they will, and we will give our opinion on who we think would be suitable for that particular position.
Under the Constitution, your role is to advise the Constitutional Officers Commission relating to the appointment?
They have to consult us on the actual appointment. So we will have the information brought to us, and we will independently assess the suggestion perhaps, and we will give them a feedback as to what we think about the appointment or the recommendation.
Does the commission confident to get everything in place before the regular elections?
Well, I think that so far, what I've heard, I feel confident that we're heading in the right direction. And as I said early on in my piece, there's still a lot of things to do. And you saw the advertisement for different positions and all that. That has to be taken care of in a hurry, and to pick the right people who fit the description of the job and who's able to perform it. And so really, a lot has been done, and I think we're heading in the right direction, and I think we can meet the timetables. I'm confident we can.
The issue of budget and funding is for the Attorney General and the Woodsell. He said that there's some donors who have shown interest. They have said that money will be coming through. Of course, there will be a budget that the Electoral Commission will be looking at, work in relation to voter registration and voter awareness campaigns. By when a solid budget will be confirmed for all this work and build up to the elections?
Well, at the moment, we have just given a very, very general indication of what we would expect to be part of our budget. And what we will do as a commission ourselves, and the Attorney General has assured me that once the supervisory election has been put into place and the regulations are put in place, really, in that sense, we become totally autonomous. And I think within my fellow commissioners are personnel who will and are capable of at least doing a budget amongst ourselves to say what do we think this the budget for this particular aspect should be allocated to, and etc. So, but it's still early days for us. I think we need to know what is needed to be done, and then we will revisit this issue. At the moment, I can't give you any solid concrete figure on when it's going to be done and what kind of figures we're talking about.
Mr. Young, has the Commission in the briefing indicated how soon you would like to have an electoral framework and the electoral regulations? How soon?
Well, what the Commission has made clear, and in fact it was suggested by the Attorney General that before any regulation is publicized or finalized or gazetted, it'll come through us for our comments, because obviously we are the one who will be implementing it. And we do have one or two individuals within our ranks who have some past experience about the elections, and will be able to comment it and maybe put suggestions back to the drafters framers of the regulations to say, do you think this might work? And obviously there will be a consultation and an exchange of views. And I don't doubt that that will happen. It will happen. That they will consult us and we will talk about it.
You haven't though asked for a specific timeline to assist in the work of the commission?
The minister said that it's probably going into its final draft, and I think it's a mistake to say, well, give us all the drafts. I think once they're satisfied with what they think is a draft which they think they're happy to hand over to us, I think that's when, instead of duplicating work, I think that'll be the best time when we take a look at it, and it'll be all hands on board as far as the commission is concerned to review it and to comment on it, and we will meet amongst ourselves, independent of the government drafters or the consultants, and sometimes they also meet with the consultants too to say, well, what are you trying to achieve with this particular regulation? So we will meet on our own and discuss it.
I think that just as a point on that, we don't need the regulations for the commission to continue this work. The point is that the commission has a lot already to do. Of course, the regulation will touch on some aspects of the elections, but in the meantime, there's got a whole heap of areas to cover.
Mr. Yang, I believe the only thing definite right now is the elections which will happen in September. And up until then, you must have decided what are you going to do first. So what are you going to do first?
Well, I think the first thing we're going to do is, most of us don't even know where the electoral office is, so we're going to find out where that is for a start. I mean, I come from the West, and I've had no experience in that, so we hope to even do that this afternoon. And I think the second thing is, we've already scheduled a meeting, and I've already put scheduled meetings for the next 2 weeks that we will meet as a commission and as members to then decide where we go from here, from today's actual briefing. So call me next week or the week after that, I'll give you a better idea.
Professor Vijay's absence, will it hinder?
No, it won't. He'll be contacted, and we will circulate the minutes of our discussions and what has transpired today. So he'll be well versed.
One of the biggest issues in the past elections has been the lack of voter awareness. We've definitely got in the constitution, elections will be held no later than September. When will we start on a massive campaign in relation to voter awareness?
Well, I think as soon as we can, we'll do that. And if your next question is when, I can't give you a date, but I think the general principle is that we'll try and do it as soon as we practically can. Okay.
Will the commission be operating from the elections office or maybe house?
Maybe you could answer that question. There's been discussions about the possible fact that the commission itself might relocate to another area if the budget allows for it, but we haven't even been there yet, so we really don't know what's available. It's a possibility. Possibility also that we might even move to another office, as a separate office.
We certainly won't operate from here.
Mr. Yang, you raised an important issue. You live in the West, and then there's the diverse backgrounds that you all come from. What's your commitment to regular meetings, the commission itself?
Well, we have actually stated amongst ourselves that we'll have to meet at least once a week, and then if it calls for it, we will meet more than once a week if we have to. But the point is this, and all my colleagues are busy people in their own right. So, but within their own busyness, I think all of them are successful in what they do because they know how to juggle their time. So, and all of them have expressed the same thing to say, listen, just give us notice. We will work our own private appointments around the needs of the commission, as long as we are given some time frame in advance to say we will meet on so and so date. So that's what I'm endeavored to do as chairman, to give them ample notice. We've already fixed 2 dates, and we'll work around it on those bases. Yeah, and then obviously now we also have Skype, and we can do Skype conferences and all that. Although I'm not the most literate person in handling computers, I can make that confession first.
So when is the next meeting?
It'll be next week.
Minister, you had earlier said that elections may cost around $40 million. Still looking at around that figure, and how much of that is expected to be funded by donors?
Well, we had said about 42 to 44 million dollars. That was some of the estimates that's been put together by the consultants. In the budget for 2014, as announced by the Prime Minister, is an allocation of approximately $17.9 million for the elections office. We have, as has been publicly stated, expect approximately 18-19 million dollars from the Papua New Guineans by March. And of course, there are other countries that have pledged support, given an undertaking in various aspects, some financial and some, of course, looking at buying equipment, materials, etc. directly. Now with the Commission in place, we have also expect to have a meeting next week with the diplomatic community. As you know, that we've been meeting up with them to, I suppose, sieve through those who are serious about contributing and those who are not, and then, of course, channeling it through the Commission. So overall, in terms of what will be the bottom line for the country itself, we have to find out, because that will depend a lot on the type of assistance we get and the amount of assistance we get. But at the moment, we're looking at about $42-44 million. As the chair of the Electoral Commission highlighted, that there's a bit of work to be done in some of those aspects where the fine-tuning will take place. So, for example, if there is a decision is made to have, for example, say 2,000 polling stations, then there's a very fixed cost that's attached to it, because 2,000, you may have, for example, hypothetically, if you have 5 personnel to 2,000 polling stations, then you're looking at 10,000 people. Well, you need to work out the salary. So all of that will be pinpointed specifically in terms of logistics, transportation, which is of course what the Commission will do.
Are we rushing towards the elections, or?
I don't know, what do you think? I don't understand your question.
I mean, it's happening in September. Is everything happening in a rush, or everything's happening at a steady pace? Everything happens properly?
I think what is really critically important for the media to note, as we've said probably for the past 2-3 years, that the elections need to be conducted in a credible manner with integrity. Now, that means that everything needs to be done properly. It means that all the processes need to be in place. We don't want a dodgy election from our perspective, as you had in 2006. So, from the government's perspective, we have a complete commitment to that, which is what we've conveyed to the Commission today, and we believe that's a commitment that the Electoral Commission has.